champion in the court of righteousness. Whoa. Nothing worse than corruption. Say that is the curse that's plaguing the island. From the top of the ladder, straight down to the bottom. Everyone caught up in self-indulgence. They really don't care about righteousness. Everybody involved in selfishness, cause the whole agenda is to get more wealth. They really don't care, man, who's suffering. Once them and their family achieving, the slogan will be, oh, Grenada nice. So I want you to tell me, when will corruption end? Will there be a time when straight people wouldn't bend? No. And when you see corruption trying to raise the head, will you stamp your foot on it, my brother? Try to kill it dead. You apply for a work, you well qualified, but because of politics you get denied. Won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? A man found dead, police say drowning, but the autopsy reveal a strangling. Won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? Corruption, let's get rid of it. Corruption, the country will benefit. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Corruption, let's not sell we soul. Corruption, let the truth be told. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Yeah. Well, I know some people who living on top. When the poor have a problem, they really don't give a fuck. Man, if you ask them for help, this is the aftermath. They're not afraid to tell you, boy, move your bumper clat. They don't care if you live or die. Whether you eat or wrong, your mouth dry. They're not obligated to give you a blight. They really don't care who unfortunate. On a Sunday is macaroni pie and steak. Some of us cannot buy a pennacle or a 50 cents cake. So I want you to tell me, when will sufferation end? Will there be a time when poor people will have money to spend? I know the boss have a plan to keep the workers poor, to maximize on the profit, to make sure that the bank account grow. You did not work to serve the country, but you have a 14,000 salary. Won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? If the police them getting promotion because of party affiliation, won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? So, corruption, let's get rid of it. Corruption, the country will benefit. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Corruption, let's not sell we soul. Corruption, let the truth be told. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Yeah. Now you see corruption, it is clearly defined by the way how some people maliciously intertwine to manipulate. That is their strategy, to deceive the people with some form of bribery. They have no love for people at all. To lie and steal, that is their ritual. Because making money, that is the only goal. They don't care who pocket empty, and don't give a damn about poverty, as long as they're able to remain wealthy. So I want you to tell me, do you think this is fair? Who will take up the fight to make sure poverty disappear? So when you see some somebody like me trying to take a stand. You should join with me, my people, to get rid of corruption. They cut you like man for small money, but exorbitant sum for reconnection fee. Won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? My name was down for low income home, but you change up the thing, now I must get loan. Won't you tell me, isn't that corruption? Corruption, let's get rid of it. Corruption, the country will benefit. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Corruption, let's not sell we soul. Corruption, let the truth be told. Won't you help me get rid of corruption? Yeah. Corruption, let's get rid of it. Corruption, the country will benefit. There we go. Oh, yo, yo. Politics. You divide Grenada and that's no kicks. I don't like it. Politics. Now so many things I will have to fix. So I go fix up them old police station to hold those who murder and rape. Because I fed up reading the media about an ex-prisoner escape. And I go fix up all those high prices that most Grenadians can't afford. Instead of demolishing those poor vendors put along the side of the road and leave them balling with them out close. Oh God, baby, Jesus is of the blows. Grenadians balling with them out close. Higher the monkey climb his bow, he expose. My people balling with them out close. Oh God, and this is of the blues. My people balling with them out close. Mr. PM, please open up some doors. Why the hell food prices gone up so fast? Transformation in we mass. The people balling anyway you pass. Transformation in we mass. You only looking out for the upper class. Transformation in we mass. You don't care if the poor ones are to eat grass. Transformation in we mass. Hey. Oh, yo, yo. Oh, ballin', ballin'. Politics. Me closest neighbor stop tell me howdy. All because of politics. Friend and family turn me enemy. I just say yes, I love the progressive sciences hotel making last suggest. But then I remember John Thomas was the one who led the protest. But now we robbing up the same white boys like a bed bug in the night. But just remember the local workers and make sure that you treat them right. Don't leave them balling with them out close. Oh God, baby, Jesus is of the blows. Grenadians balling with them out close. They say when you're poor is when you expose. My people balling with them out close. Get it? Oh God, baby, Jesus is of the blues. Grenadians balling.
And a good night to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott, here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour.
Why the hell?
It is now 8 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock.
Transformation in we mass. No what till me tanky can't even last. Transformation in we mass. But you driving wrong in dark tinted glass. Transformation in we mass. When I start to talk, you say enough.
And folks, go on out and support Rootsman. The tent is opening, I believe, this weekend. Yeah, the 29th at the Malmont Big Yard. Make sure you go on out and support the tent. Kaiso. Sorry, worry. Sometime next week, I'll be dropping mine. Yeah.
Politics.
Just remember, I tell all you that I'm dropping my calypso next week. Nice.
Cause old talk is cheap. I still talking.
Good night to all of you joining us via the YouTube. All of you joining us via the Facebook.
Never take me dead like cash.
All listeners via We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn.
Talking right up to me.
And our faithful 91.9, 91.5 FM, Real FM. Real music, real news.
And how we wish he could have take back his phone. Cause that is one thing he regret. Because apart from all those gallant fete, yes, he they do nothing yet. Canadians balling with them out close. Oh God, baby, Jesus is of the blows. You so good as balling.
Folks, we're gonna open the phone lines early, yeah?
But the higher the more.
Although we do have some issues, yeah? We'd like to give you the opportunity as well. Good night to you, Joyce.
With them out close.
Locked in out there in Trinidad. We say a special good night to you.
Canadians balling.
Our good listeners out there as well in Aruba, good night to you. St. Kitts, good night to you. Barbados, good night to you.
I did wrong on such a high.
Tobago, a special good night to you listeners out there in Tobago.
Care what it costs. Transformation in we mass. If you love this song, well, raise up your glass.
Our listeners in Saskatchewan. Those of you listening in Alberta, those of you listening in Ontario, yeah. Whichever part of Canada you are, we say a special good night to each and every one of you. Springs people! Yeah, North Carolina, South Carolina, we say a special good night to each and every one of you. And our good friends out there in Maryland, our friends out there in Florida, those of you in the New York State area, wherever you are, Texas, we say a special good night to each and every one of you and hope that you all have been having a wonderful night. You know what, boy? I feel like going kind of Carriacou-ish right now. Yeah, let me try a Carriacou thing, man.
This is what we call our way.
Yeah, remember to tell a friend, Talking Points is on. No, it's not music points tonight, it's Talking Points, but sometimes you just have to touch the thing.
To say that was the music of the day. They used to play a nice melody in G, but that was the sweetest thing for me. And when the song of the banjo hit the air, that was all the people want to hear. Listen to the sound of the banjo.
Good night to you, Nadine Matheson out there in England.
Play by God, move your feet, move your waist. Sweet music in the place. You can't stand up like a yo-yo. You got to let your body go. Take a grind, take a wine. Don't waste this precious time. What will happen tomorrow? None of us don't really know.
So, and as I begin the program tonight, let me give you all a reminder because next thing you all forget. And you all, let me wait now. We know what you self, behave yourself. No, you have to be working properly. Yeah.
God for your name in the song. With all them women singing, party time, all are we dancing. Yeah, Quattro. Move your feet, move your waist. Sweet music in the place. You can't stand up like a yo-yo. You got to let your body go. Take a grind, take a wine.
And I believe we should be joined a little later on by a guest. It is Talking Tuesday, and you know on Tuesdays we try to have a guest. I believe the Honorable Emlyn Pear may be joining us a little later on, giving us a little insight into what has happened in Parliament today. As you know, the Firearms Amendment Bill that went through today, changing various aspects of the Firearms Act, especially in relation to things like there was the issue of bail was substantively discussed.
Names like Moses,
now remember, you've had the Attorney General and other ministers making the claim that once you're found with a firearm or ammunition illegally, no bail. That was their words, and several instances we heard them saying that. Now today I realize they're trying to retract and pull back some of the statements and so.
Out of control, the music hitting up me so rhythmic, so dynamic.
So it's between they were making ignorant statements or they were trying to deceive the Grenadian people. I don't know, but they were the ones that were saying no bail. That's what they were saying, no bail.
Do you have to keep you in the mood? Move your feet, move your waist, your body, switch music in the place. In the can stand up like a yo-yo. In the you got to let your body go. Take a grind, take a wine, good grind. Don't waste this precious time. What will happen tomorrow? Now when none of us don't really know. Take a grind, take a wine, take a good grind. Don't waste this precious time. What will happen tomorrow?
Yes, indeed, folks. Yeah, we don't know what will happen tomorrow, but we know what is coming up on the 14th. And let me just play this one for you all quickly. Yeah.
Grenada. Get ready as the new National Party invites all to its 40th anniversary fundraising bingo event. Sunday, July 14th from 5 p.m. at Victoria Park, Grenville. Over $100,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Imagine you can win a Suzuki Ignis hybrid car, $50,000 in cash, plus other fantastic prizes. Tickets are $60 for one or $100 for two. Free buses will be available island-wide. Don't miss it. Or you might just see your neighbor driving a Suzuki Ignis. Sunday, July 14th, we're heading to Victoria Park in Grenville for the new National Party 40th Anniversary Fundraising Bingo.
Yes, indeed, folks. So don't you dare miss that one. It's coming up on the 14th. Buses available island-wide. Contact your various constituency leads and representatives, and they will be able to give you some more information in relation to that one. Also, folks, I have another one here. Where's the other one? Yeah, we have another one here. Let me just play the other one for you quickly. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, we've got you. Oh, I see what is happening here. Nice. Let me play you here.
The new National Party New York Support Group invites you to an exquisite evening of elegance, a formal and all-inclusive affair. Saturday, July 13, 2024, 9 in the evening. Music by DJ Jude and DJ Small Clothes. Tickets $100. Experience delightful entertainment, fine dining, graceful dancing, and lively auction. All at the Legacy Loft, 9302 Ditmas Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11236. Former Grenada Prime Minister and NNP political leader of His Majesty's opposition, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, will be the guest of honor, accompanied by Dwight Horsford, MPs Emmeline Pear and Peter David, and Senator Norland Cox. An evening you will forever remember. Contact Cathy 347-262-6818, Wendy 917-602-1476, Aisha 917-520-3164, PD 917-642-7187, or Sharon 862-234-0879. The new National Party, the pride of Grenada.
Yes, indeed, folks. So that is coming up as well. Yeah, what events after events. Remember, the new National Party is celebrating 40 years this year. 40 years. So there are various activities coming up. Tomorrow there's going to be the elderly bus ride. So the elderly are going out. Tomorrow that will be taking place island-wide. Yes, so the elderly will be going out on the bus ride tomorrow. Now, I ain't qualified yet. I have one or two gray, but I ain't have enough gray yet to qualify for that particular one. Also, remember, there is the annual tea and hat party. So that is coming up as well. And let me just let you all see that one. So the annual tea and hat tea party, and prizes will be given for male and female best dressed. The price to enter, $25 for children, $40 for adults. That is taking place on the 30th of June. All right, this weekend. So it's taking place at 535 East 19th Street, Newkirk and Ditmas from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that's a 535 East 19th Street between Newkirk and Ditmas from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And of course, that's taking place June the 30th. They have an open bar, so it's going to be a wonderful one. head on out to that one. Those of you up there in the diaspora, you can attend that one if you so desire. And if you don't desire, you could make a little donation to the thing. All right. Also, letting you all know, I says the 40th anniversary of the New National Party. You know, so we have a real thing coming up, right? The New National Party, New York chapter. Let me shout you all out. The New York chapter of the New National Party. Everybody say hip, hip, hip. They're having that town hall meeting at the American Legion Hall, 1130 East 92nd Street in Brooklyn, New York, 11236. That's taking place Sunday, the 14th of July, 2024 at 5 p.m. All right, so Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Honorable Emlyn Pear, the Honorable Peter David, Senator the Honorable Norland Cox, and Mr. Dwight Hosford will be in attendance at that town hall to make their presentations, take your questions, and interact with you all. All right, so that will be taking place. And somebody's saying they're hearing me low. Let me fix that. Nice. I think that's coming out from here. Good. Nice. So I'll fix it on that end. Right. So that's taking place at the American Legion Hall, 1130 East 92nd Street in Brooklyn, New York, 11236, Sunday, July 14, 2024 at 5 p.m. New National Party Town Hall meeting. And in addition to that, for those of you right here in Grenada, the St. George Northwest constituency, they have their constituency meeting taking place, and that is happening tomorrow. It's going to be taking place at the Happy Hill Secondary School from 6 p.m. So the St. George Northwest constituency will be having that meeting taking place tomorrow at the Happy Hill Secondary School from 6 p.m. And in attendance, of course, the MP for the area and political leader of the New National Party, former Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Honorable Emlyn Pear, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Southeast, Dr. the Honorable Clarice Modest, the Member of Parliament for St. Mark, former Member of Parliament for St. John and present constituency lead, Mr. Alvin Dabrio, and Senator the Honorable Nealon Franklin. All right, so that meeting will be taking place tomorrow at the Happy Hill Secondary School starting at 6 p.m. So looking forward to seeing those of you that can make it there and go early so all you could have all your conversation and thing and be back in time for talking points. All right, 440-737-734-7329-3101. Those are the numbers for those are the numbers for you to get onto the inside of tonight's program. You are a bit too late. I catch you through that one. Good night to you, my dear. Folks, several situations. And oh boy, I just missed a call there. Call back. Several things have been taking place at this point in time. There's several things that have been taking place that I think we need to discuss. And I'll get into them in a short while. Let me just take this call. Hello, good night.
Good night.
Hi, good night. How are you?
Sheldon Scott.
Yes, ma'am. You're alive?
Good night.
Okay, my dear, that's not a problem. Good night to you as well and your family.
Everybody all right? What about your family?
We are okay. We are okay.
Okay.
Just had a little touch of
I
the
want
flu
to
over
say
the
good night
weekend.
to Dr. Keith.
Go right ahead. He's listening.
Dr. Keith, good night. And I'm longing to see you.
All right. Okay, my dear. Thank you so very much for your call.
Okay, bye-bye.
You have a wonderful one. All right, my dear. Yes, indeed, folks. 440-737-734-7329, 3101. The phone lines are open. More and more, we've been hearing and let me just move this out of the way here. Nice, More and more, we've been hearing how upset, it seems, the Minister of Youth is. What we have heard is that he has made several attempts to remove the chairman of the board of the National Lotteries Authority. Several attempts on his obtaining the office of Minister of Youth, under whose portfolio the National Lottery Authority falls. He recognized several what you can say are irregularities taking place in relation to the National Lottery Authority that, and this is what I'm hearing out there, so I'm just making some comments on it. So he has decided that he will remove the chairman of the board of the National Lottery Authority. There seems to be some sort of relationship between the chairman of the board and another senior staff member at the National Lottery Authority. And what, in other words, it's what you may call, in a sense, I don't want to call it an incestuous relationship because it does not involve family members, but it involves people who are working at the same location. So there is that issue. And the minister has made several attempts to remove this guy as the chairman of the board. And all of these have failed. And it seems as though it have the minister vex. In addition to that, I was listening to part of his presentation, well, his entire presentation really, last night at the town hall meeting, hoping that I would be hearing him speaking about what is taking place for youth and some new initiatives that are going to engage our young people in a positive sense and create new avenues for them, for their creativity and for their energies and all this sort of thing. You know, the Minister of Youth and Sport, nearly his entire presentation was on health. He's no longer the Minister of Health, has not been the Minister of Health for roughly the last 6 months or so. Yet still, his presentation is on health. And the Minister of Health sit down there, you know. The Minister of Health was there. Yet still he come in making presentation on health. That alone tells you that nothing taking place in the Ministry of Youth. That alone tells you that there is a serious issue when it comes to the Ministry of Youth, of non-performance. We have a caller online. Hello? Yes, caller, go right ahead, you're live.
Hey, good night, Sheldon. Good night, Talking Points.
Good night.
How you doing?
I'm quite fine. You go ahead.
Sheldon, today I happen to be listening to the parliament with the bills that the government trying to pass. I don't know who does not understand what is taking place here, right? And who doesn't understand how parliaments work, especially when you have an opposition. The opposition is not to side with you, is not to be against you. They are there for checks and balances. So if MPs abstain and some didn't vote, does that mean they hate Grenada? Does that mean they want to see violence in Grenada? You telling me, Sheldon, that you have a bill that would enable people that if caught with a firearm, you can be up to 40 years in jail. But yet, you have men going around and before, like crimes before, cutlasses, machete, chopping people. Same people get killed with cutlass, right? And they are out on the streets. You have an individual walking the streets right now, free, that was charged with a murder of a gentleman. He's walking the road free right now, as far as I know. And you telling me, you have a prime minister using words like draconian laws and stiff this and bringing in supreme weapons and all these things. It is getting very dangerous, the wording they are using. And what I have seen, well, listen today also, is the exchange between the Prime Minister, the member for Thomas St. George, I've listened to the one from St. John, I listened to nearly all of them. And the level of disconnect that these people have with what people are saying on the ground. Because I listened to a program where a young guy called, and he said, well, if we drop our guns, we're going to pick up cutlass. Now, that statement I would not endorse. But to the ministers of government and to the NEC government who don't understand what is taking place on the ground and feel because they go in Boca and line with some people on the blogs there, this what they're doing is what they call knee-jerk reactions, like the MP for St. Mark did. She said that because they are not discussing things with people on the ground who will be affected. You can't tell me a pastor is from with a gun. You want to give the man 40 years with no reason. Now they're backtracking, right? Now, we need to listen some more, and people, I'm begging you, the diaspora people, listen to these parliament sittings to understand what's taking place. And lastly, Sheldon, I happened to listen to a brother called Mr. Forrester this morning on a program, and he was answering to a gentleman that was making some comments about the IMA/CBI passport, investment thing. And basically, Mr. Forrester, for who didn't hear it, go back and listen to what he said carefully. Mr. Forrester was basically saying that you can become a citizen of Grenada by buying a passport. He mentioned, yes, you can invest in businesses, but he said also that you can buy a passport. Now, I don't know if that was I never heard that in any time, because I know for you to become a citizen by investment, you're supposed to either invest in lands, invest in some hotel or something you have to do to get that prestigious piece of document. But from how I heard it this morning, how Mr. Forrester said, is like you just come and spend our money and you're getting a passport. Who don't believe me? Go back and listen to what this guy said this morning. And like I always say, listen to what these people are saying. I also heard a man say this morning again that the laws concerning the CBI, the GDB bank, the NMP is lying. And we are lying about these things. I mean, come on. This is what this guy is telling his people in the diaspora. I mean, sorry to say, but you people, you NEC supporters, is a bunch of young donkeys. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, Mr. Sheldon.
I wouldn't go that direction to call the supporters of the National Democratic Congress by that name. There are some activists who behave and exhibit certain behaviors, and if I have to direct a statement towards them, I would direct that statement directly towards them. But I would not make a blanket statement and say all NDC supporters is this or all NDC supporters is that. No. And that's just me, right? I wouldn't do it. All right? What I will say, though, is that we must be very careful with individuals who give the impression that they know what they're speaking about. The situation with the Grenada Development Bank, and no, I ain't forget LACO. The situation with the Grenada Development Bank is a very, very, very serious situation. Here in the Caribbean, we have a tendency to say things 3 times. I don't know if it means Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I don't know why. Or the Holy Trinity or whatever. Right? But we like to say things 3 times. But this is a serious situation which warrants investigation and resignation of the board of directors. Every man, Jack, and his brother. You have people that was openly campaigning for the NDC. You have executive members of the NDC forming the GDB board. And then you have that sort of thing taking place. The public cannot have any trust. The public cannot have any confidence in the board of directors of the GDB. The law is clear. I've shown you all the law. The law is clear in relation to that particular matter. Yeah? This issue is not an easy issue. It's not an issue we should just drop. This issue is a serious one. The Prime Minister, by his pronouncements, has made this even worse. The law is there. It is on the books. We've shown you the law, and we can show you tonight again if we have to do so. We've shown you the law. And the law is very, very, very clear when it comes to this particular issue. It says that ministers are prohibited. They are prohibited. And we told you what prohibited means. The act of forbidding something, especially by law. Yeah? But the Prime Minister says that they are entitled. So let's check the meaning of the word entitled. Yeah? Entitled, believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. And that's from the Oxford Dictionary, National Land Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary. The Prime Minister says that ministers, parliamentarians are entitled to the loan. He didn't say that they could apply like everybody. He said once they are entitled. And that is illegal. And therefore, the New National Party has made that call. I'm looking for the document itself here. But the New National Party has made that call for the resignation of the ministers who have breached that law, because they've breached the law. They've abused their power. That is called misbehavior in public office. As such, every member of the Grenada Development Bank Board of Directors needs to resign. Not some go and some stay. All need to resign. They need to go, and they need to go now. And together with them, the ministers who have illegally obtained loans from the Grenada Development Bank, they need to resign too. Don't worry, we'll talk about the other minister who had to resign in a timing. But they all need to resign. So the members of the board of directors of the GDB, they need to resign. Every man and woman, all, go. Go. The public does not have trust in you. If you are on the board of directors of any organization, the public should be able to have some level of trust in you. But if you are using that opportunity towards the personal benefit of people who are illegally obtaining loans, the Prime Minister makes that statement as though these people could go ahead and receive loan and nothing wrong with that. Yeah, they are prohibited. Yeah, and we could show you again. We don't just say it. Section 5 of the law that they're saying don't exist. That is why right now they're trying to hide the laws. But we will come to that. So there is a prohibition in relation to loans, right? Prohibition relating to subloans. The bank shall not make subloans out of the proceeds of the loan to a director of the bank, to a member of the legislature of the state of Grenada, or to any company controlled by such director. So you can't take the loan personally. You can't take it as a business loan. Yeah? Or member of the or by any such director or business. Okay, so let me take it again. To a member of the legislature of the state of Grenada, or to any company controlled by such director or member of the legislature. So that's clear. That's clear. Plain English language. Or to the close relatives of any such director or member of the legislature. So we may very well find that in an instance or two, you may have husbands or wives who may have also accessed loans from the GDB during the period of time of the National Democratic Congress in office. You may also find maybe a brother, a sister, that kind of thing. When you go into public office, there are certain sacrifices that you will have to make. There are certain sacrifices that you will have to make. And the law in relation to this is very, very clear. It dates back to the year 1973. But, you know, folks, we have to remember something when it comes to the GDB too. Remember, the last report in relation to the operations of the GDB, what was put forward by the same board of directors and so on, what was put forward was the possibility of making the GDB into a commercial bank. In other words, they're coming to try after the fact to legalize what has been done. So as it is right now, the GDB is not allowed to collect money from people. Like, you can't go and say you want to save money in the GDB. You can't do that. But they want to take the GDB and transform it now into a commercial bank that would be able to take in deposits from various people. But you know why? Because they know they've taken the money and do all this nonsense in the background. And that the farmers and the fishermen can't even get an engine and a boat. They can't get these sort of things, which after they do that, they would be bringing in tens of thousands of dollars on a monthly basis into Grenada. But no, they can't get a loan out of the GDB. Ministers could get for $1 million, $2 million, all sorts of things. They 300,000 who get loan for this, that, they can't get it. But the farmer and the fisherman who go into GDB, they can't get a loan. Yeah? So in order to cover and filter all of that, they want to start taking deposits. So when you check on the books, when they report into the Caribbean Development Bank, etc., you go see things looking nice. They have X amount of money in deposits and so on, and they're shifting things around. No, it is not a commercial bank. It is supposed to be there to help small businesses, small and medium-sized enterprises. Remember, we went over that here on this program before. We pulled the report for you and we showed you that one of the intentions was to make the Grenada Development Bank into a commercial enterprise. Just like how you have, who do we have now? We no longer have Barclays and everything. That is way back in the days. You have Republic Bank and ACB and Cooperative Bank to make them into a commercial enterprise such as those. Yeah? Remember, every move that this government makes, everything that they do, there is something behind it. There is the golden handshake that's taking place in the back room. So when you hear, oh, they've given a contract to this person to do this, or they've given a contract to that person to do that, remember, there's the golden handshakes taking place in the background. One of them just now, they might have to call him Mr. 10%. Don't worry, soon all that information will be out in the general public. It have one government minister that you're going to have to call him Mr. 10%. But they ain't investigating that. They ain't have time to let the FIU look into these illegal activities of sitting government ministers. They ain't only have time to send FIU to check them thing. You have government ministers involved in financial impropriety right now. But they ain't investigating them. They ain't have time for that. Yeah? Eyes where Grenada reach to right now. Folks, 440-7377-347-329-3101. I think we have a caller online. Let's go to the phone line. Hello, good night.
Sheldon, good night.
Good night, Kiami Teresa Scott.
Good night to the Grenadian people. Good night to those in America and England, Canada, and all them places that listening to you now. Mr. Scott,
Yes, ma'am.
I understand everything you're saying. You have a job to do. But you know, who all of them, these people up? These people in charge, Sheldon. Nobody can tell Deacon Mitchell, Andy Williams, and Mr. the one from Guava and these people. They can't tell them nothing. They're doing what they want, Sheldon. The only way these people might be able to manage these people is when they're out of office. When they're out of office, and whoever will be there will investigate them and see all the wrongdoings, and then they might take them to task. But for now, nobody can do them people nothing.
That is what they feel. That is what they feel.
What I am saying, they can't do them nothing now because they're in charge. They're doing all kind of wrong things, like you say. Look at Mr. The one that is in sports, Mr. Lacret. Mr. Lacret signed out the man with the lotto, they say so money. Right? He give him a letter to go home. The Prime Minister, the man sent his letter to the Prime Minister. That is what the school children say. And the Prime Minister sent him back to work. And the school children say, the Prime Minister tell Mr. Lacret, you did not win your seat. I give you a job. So he don't have the authority to send him at home. Because they say, school children say, there's a man that introduced him to run for election. That's the Pariwari. You understand? So, they don't have a voice. These guys and them don't have a voice. One lady tell me, she's in the casino. She said in the town hall meeting, the minister cannot answer no question. When they asking question, the Prime Minister answering. So she said, well, what kind of thing is that? What kind of thing is that? She minister supposed to answer the question, but he answering everything. And Grenadians wait to speak. They wait to speak out. But they crying, they bawling. Everybody cries and their own people. I passed by the market this morning. Everybody speaking. Everybody talking. But they're going to this town hall meeting and they're not telling the man nothing. This morning a lady called because his son working. I know she listening to this program tonight. Because his son working with the NEC and he have a big job there. She said everything is all right. She complimented these people for the 2 years. My God, these people don't do nothing in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pikimatic. The only thing they do what I see, they put up a set of lights and the carnage. I don't see they do no project to give people work. I don't see nothing. They say they pay the pension. You all say the NSB is to set up the pension already. Then I heard the Michelle say in a clip, they play it on the TV that he don't have money in Grenada. He said so, you know. The man said he don't have money to pay people. A teacher that teaching in Sotel school tell me 3 months you don't get money because it's every fortnight. And he said 3 months you don't get his pay. He told me so I don't know. So is he lying? Baba God will save me because that will tell me. You understand? So I don't know what's going on in Grenada. But the people in America and in Canada and in London and NDC and them, they say everything is right. I don't know why they won't come home. I will love these NDC supporters that they in the diaspora. If all this still relying for y'all, come home. Come home because everything is nice. So are you come? Or do you come in? Because I don't believe, come and feel the weight now. Come and feel some of the weight of baby Jesus. Some of you are NDC supporters. I am speaking to you all that living in America, Canada, and England. That saying is doing everything good. Come in Grenada. Come and give up all your thing and come back home. And I want to say something tonight because I want to thank all the people that come and put $1 in the bottle. Miss Joseph, thanks very much. I know you're back. You're flying now back to America. And all the people that pass and put $1. Miss Kami saying thank you. One little lady put $1.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to especially thank them. Mm-hmm.
Have a good night to everybody. Have a good night. And we'll be meeting tomorrow night.
Yes.
So I'll let everybody to come out and listen to what our Prime Minister have to tell us. Okay? Good night to everybody.
Thank you. Gabby.
And my
we have on sale there.
My condolence go to Biggie. Biggie walk all day yesterday, this morning when I reach in town, they tell me Biggie dead, you know. Eh, oh God, one day. All day yesterday, the man tell me what, you know.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that this afternoon
yes,
myself.
They tell me the man that I still can't be the girlfriend to go in the toilet. Because I can't get in the toilet.
Oh, goodness.
Lord of mercy. That I to tell people how to live. How to live with each other. Some people don't buy nothing from me because she's an MP. They keep me enemy. They passing and throwing a kind of out. Look at the man. They say the man gets up early and the man can put on his bus engine to hit up the engine and he go back inside and to use the washroom and the man will come back out, you know. Grenadians.
Yeah. We have to live good.
All you don't want to hear Chief Michelle name. I don't want to hear nothing. And if he never do nothing. Oh, God.
Cammy,
hey?
I have a guest waiting to come in, so we're going to talk again.
All right. Good night to everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you so very much, my dear. All right. Yes, indeed. We have Cammy in the house. And let me just make sure I'm hearing the guest properly. Hello, good night. Hello. Oh, I think I may have had my mic muted. Yeah, let me just see if the guest is ready to come on. Hello, good night.
Good night. Good night to you, Sheldon. Good night to your listeners.
Yes, indeed. And folks, we have on with us the Honorable Emlyn Pear, former Minister of Education, former Minister of Youth and Sport, and also the Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South East. And after the next election, she will still be, by God's grace, the Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South East. So the colleague could send who all you want to send. I say that. She can say that. Good night to you, Honorable Emlyn Pear. How have things been going?
Good, good, good. By God's grace, you know me. You would never get the opposite of that, regardless, because I always keep a very positive take a very positive view of life. And so, I think when things don't go the way we plan them or the way we would like them, it's still for good. There's still a good reason. So I'm always very optimistic. So I want to greet your listeners and your viewers and say a very warm good night. And I pray that everyone is well, doing well. And of course, I'm happy to have the opportunity to be with you tonight.
Yes, indeed. And let me ask, the Parliament sitting today, we saw a very controversial bill that came up today. Give us a little insight into what was put forward today.
So as you may recall, Sheldon, and the whole issue of debate today and some weeks ago surrounding the whole government response to the increasing gun violence and crime in the country, I must say an hour can't do it. And so let's call this part one, because there's so much to share in that regard. And let me also make the introductory comment that we also need to have a serious conversation on the issue of pension and pension reform. So there's just so much that's happening, and time, it's really never enough to deal with all of the issues. But as you would have asked, I would go back to a couple parliament sittings ago, maybe the previous, where the government would have brought forward, and because I believe that the Bar Association and other stakeholders would have expressed concern, the government decided to go back with a particular bill that was presented to amend penalties and so related to gun offenses, and also to make a non-bailable offense to have in your possession of a firearm. And if we would recall that the government would have brought the amnesty, which we supported, and I just want us to remember that we did say anything that the government would do to help to arrest this situation that has gone out of control in many sense of the word, we would support, and that we would be quite willing to work with the government on any initiative, right? We are still waiting, and so we are doing what we can do. So the government brought the amnesty, and then they said, after the amnesty expires, the period of time expires, any person that is found with a gun in their possession, an illegal gun, meaning that you don't have a license for that gun, that you would not be granted bail when brought to court, right? And I think that is where we can stick in terms of the issue that I believe we want to discuss tonight, as to why the opposition could not support this. And I feel very strongly about this, Sheldon, very, very strongly about this. And in my introduction, I made it absolutely clear that I could not support this. You come with something that I believe is not trampling on the rights, the constitutional rights of people, and it's going to help address the situation, you have my fullest support. And in this particular case, we could not support the government in passing this piece of legislation.
Now, you've mentioned that folks who are detained with a firearm, because this means that if you have a bullet on you, let's say you've borrowed a bag from somebody who happens to be a legal firearm owner, and some firearm owners, due to how they go to the range and different things like that, may have one bullet, one round of ammunition in a bag. and you happen to have that bag, and that bag is searched and they find that one bullet in it, it means you going and sit down in jail until the time that you have your case. If your case comes up 2 years later, you have to stay in jail. You won't be allowed to have bail. You won't have access to bail. Is that what is being put forward?
Right. So what we are doing through this piece of legislation that's amended is to make this a non-bailable offense similar to that of murder or treason. So we are putting it in that same category. And that for us is a major concern. As a matter of fact, I see this move by the government as a knee-jerk reaction, right? There's a crisis situation. We don't carefully assess, we don't carefully analyze, and let us just do something, anything that we can do that hopefully would address the situation. That's how I feel that the government is responding to this very serious situation that we face. And so my question is, what sort of analysis, what sort of investigation did the administration do to determine that this is the best approach to take, that this is going to yield the level of results that we expect to yield, right? We expect it to yield. And we are extremely concerned. So I sat there today and I remember very clearly, I think it was 2000, I spent 3 weeks in Nigeria. This was prior to me getting into politics and observing the elections. And one of the most frightening things for me during that period was to experience and to witness the level of disrespect, the level of what I would say, it's frightening. I'm afraid that we are going down a road that we would reach a point we won't be able to turn back. Now, I ask very clearly, why is it that civilians have more guns than police officers or soldiers, right? Why is it that soldiers are running away from civilians? Why is it that you are likely to meet a roadblock with civilians firing against soldiers? Mm-hmm. And many persons share the view, Sheldon, and this is where I get very concerned. Many persons share the view that this has a lot to do with the approach that was taken by the government at the time or by those in authority as it relates to response to crime, right? The motto of the police force, I was told, is fire for fire. And when I listen statements like, we're going to get longer guns, it frightens me because I feel the sense that we are heading down that road. You do the crime, you pay the time. And the question is, are we sure that we really want to go down this road? Because I could guarantee you that the civilians would be able to access the longest guns. I could guarantee you that, right? Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, someone was laughing today when we were having this conversation, and they said the bureaucracy alone in the service, the time the government takes to order, they're always ahead. They're always ahead. And so if we attempt to fight this problem in that way, we are creating another problem, civilians against police. It is the very reason that we introduce community policing. It is the very reason we speak about relationship between police and civilians. Now, the statements I'm hearing referring to people as animals, they should be locked up and the key must be thrown away. Check back and see some of the places where that kind of approach was taken, them and us. And let us look back and see what kind of results they had. And that, for me, number one, is a concern. So I haven't even reached yet to the non-bailable offense, right? Just the language that we use, to me, is eroding serious progress that we've made in this country as it relates to national security. Serious progress. And so if we attempt to go down this road, we got to be prepared for the consequences of that. So you want to challenge civilians, so-called criminals, that you could have bigger guns, longer guns than them? Okay, they're going to prove to you otherwise, right? So we can't continue to give this message of a battle between civilians and the police. We are creating a more dangerous situation for the Royal Grenada Police Force, I believe. And so the messaging is extremely critical. But also, I want us to, in terms of looking at this thing with you say sometimes we get so political. We get so political that we can't see beyond our nose. And it's very unfortunate, right? Because I would ask, what has been the correlation between increasing of punishment and penalties and the reduction of crime? And I would wish that somebody would answer that for me statistically, right? Because there is a serious debate as it relates to this approach to addressing and solving crime. That is exactly why we've been hearing over the years things like restorative justice. I mean, we use it in a political context nowadays, right? But it is the very reason, because there's research that shows that you want to be cautious. It is the very reason why some countries have not moved to reinstate capital punishment. Because some people would ask themselves, what are we likely to gain? Will it be seriously reduced? Right? And so that is a major concern. So what the government attempted to do today, or what they did today, was to say at the magistrate courts, a magistrate no longer has the ability to grant bail to a person in this situation. That is what we basically, this is what the parliament.
Let me ask this question though. So it means therefore, let's say it's the Thursday before Good Friday. An individual is picked up with one round of ammunition. They didn't even know it was in the vehicle that they were in. They didn't know they rent a vehicle. The vehicle is searched. Probably the person that used the vehicle before was a firearm owner, or maybe they had illegal firearms in it. A bullet is in there. That person is detained. So you're telling me that person they can't call a justice of the peace, they can't bring them before a magistrate, etc., to get that person out. So they're in Good Friday, they're in the Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday, until the Tuesday. When will they be able to get bail at all? And if so, how would they be able to access bail? Or is it totally out of the question?
And that's a very important point you're raising. And I want to switch a little bit to make the point of accessibility of magistrates, right? Versus accessibility of judges. And you said it very clearly, that we are in the practice traditionally that you call a magistrate, right? We have this person here, we have that person here. Justice of the peace, for example, and this doesn't apply in this case particularly, but and those people who are from St. Andrews, Auntie Joan, across the street to the police station, you run across there, somebody, what we're saying is that these people who are very accessible in the administration of justice, we are removing that access from ordinary people. But another important point to stick right there is not just the accessibility, it is the cost. So you have the accessibility, you have the waiting period. So you think you're going to spend a week in the Grenville police station? I doubt it, my dear.
No, they're going to send you down.
It means that we have to go up to Richmond Hill to wait until the High Court is ready to hear your matter. But it's not just that. Let us look at the financial implication, the economic factors to be considered here. it means that you now have to hire a lawyer and you're going to the high court. So it means that the cost is going to be increased. For somebody who have the well-to-do, those in that upper bracket in terms of their financial situation, obviously that's no big thing. But let us think about the thousands of ordinary people who will not be able to come up with $3,000 to be represented in the high courts. What are we saying to them? Justice denied? What are we saying to them? That because of your status, because of your class, because of your economic condition, that you should not have the same level of fairness as it relates to the judicial system? And so that is a major consideration there. What are we saying for those people who are financially strapped and cannot afford this? But there's another issue that one wants to consider, and you made the point very clearly. Let me put it this way. I heard comments today that really, I looked at some of the pictures and my facial expression, I was in shock at a number of comments, which literally was implying that if you find me in possession of a firearm, you come on my property, you found a firearm, whether I know of it or I don't know of it, I am viewed as a criminal. And this is concerning. As a matter of fact, the comment that was made point to the fact that you want to get people off the street, criminals off the street. So where is justice? Where is that process, due process, that considers me innocent until I am proven guilty? And you know, the sad thing about this, many people don't consider these things to be important. Many people feel, okay, this bill has been brought forward by my party, so I have to support it. But you know what? Very often it comes home when it's my son, when it's my daughter, when it's my uncle or my cousin, somebody I know. So for many people, this is far-fetched. I don't own a gun. I don't have a gun. I don't think there's any gun on my property, in my vehicle. I have no business with guns. Okay.
So let me ask you a question here. Our grandmother is 83, 86 years old. She's at a home. Her grandson, who may be involved in illegal activity, she doesn't know that he has a firearm or he has ammunition. Because remember, we keep saying firearms here, but the charge you're getting for the bullet is the same charge you're getting for the gun. So it could be one bullet that he has inside there. Probably he was hanging with his friends. They give him one, whatever it is, but he has it there. The police search the house and they find that one round of ammunition. It means everybody in that household is going down and no bail for anybody. The 86-year-old grandmother, as well as the teenagers who are in secondary school, as well as the individuals who are in their 20s and 30s, everybody's going down?
So I actually know, Sheldon, of a case where the police would have arrested and charged every person within the confine of that particular home at the time. Whatever they were searching and they found, they had sufficient reasons why they would have detained everybody that they found on the property and why they charged everybody. And that can be any age. So your 80-something-year-old example, it applies. It also applies to your son that you take so much time to care for and that you would have trained very well and you would have educated him on the law. And he goes out with his friends and they're driving in the vehicle and something is found. Let's say in this case, it's a firearm, for example. Your son don't know anything about it. Your son was not involved. The driver said he doesn't know about it. Well, the only other person in the vehicle is your son. And the police, from their investigation, can decide that they're going to charge the driver and your son. Now, what all of this is saying is that there is now this possibility that when your son go to explain what would have happened, your son could be told that there's no bail that would be granted because, of course, we are removing that power once it goes through in the upper house, that we're removing that right or that ability of the magistrate to grant you bail, right? And so it means that your son would now have to go wait for the appropriate time that the High Court can hear his case and then decide that he can get bail. But I want to speak a bit about bail, right? Because currently, we know the conditions under which a person is granted bail, right? And this is why I'm not understanding, and this is why I cannot support this. I am not understanding why we are changing the current system. So currently, a magistrate listens to your son, or in the example you gave before, your grandmother, and after listening all of the evidence presented, right, that magistrate uses discretion, considering several things, and then make a decision that bail would be granted or not granted. So let's just use an example. If the magistrate determines or feels that there's a high possibility that you're going to skip the jurisdiction, you're going to run away, you're going to take a plane and go. If the magistrate, and this is what's happening right now, the magistrates feel that you would not come back to court because you have a history of not attending court when you have a matter. The magistrates feel that based on your long record or history of involvement in crime, that it's highly likely that you may commit that offense again. That magistrate normally uses their discretion and say, no bail, let us hold you there to guarantee that you come to answer this charge. Now, I'm not understanding for the life of me why we are changing this, right? Now, the second thing is that if bail is granted, historically, there are several conditions under which bail might be granted. I would have voted in support of this bill if the government said, okay, we want to increase some of the conditions, or we want to make some of the conditions a little more challenging for somebody. I would have supported. So, for example, a magistrate could say to somebody, report to the police station once a week. Well, if you say twice a day, I have no problem with that, right? If you say rather than $10,000 cash that you post, or two securities, have 5 securities, there are conditions. And those conditions could be amended to achieve the same thing. There are some people, as part of conditions, I mean, we're not like places in the US and so where they probably would put something on you and they can monitor you wherever you go. We don't have that kind of...
It's 2024. You could get those things quite easily right now to have a person under home arrest and monitor them, their device.
We would have made some progress with the technology during COVID. So you're absolutely right. I mean, there's no reason why we can't. I mean, I would suggest that before going and build another prison, let's increase technology. Right? Let's find other ways in which we can achieve the same objective. So there's curfew. You can tell a person, you cannot leave your home except you do X, Y, or Z, right? Currently, you can surrender your travel documents, so at least we know you can take a plane. If you get to the airport, somebody can call somebody to say, this person is on a list. It happens all the time right now. And I'm saying, of course, we can use those and achieve the same objective. But we're saying in one breath that we don't have space at the prison. We're saying in one breath that the prison condition, overcrowding, is an issue. And in the same breath, we are saying, let's send more people up to Richmond Hill Prison. I'm not really understanding how we analyze these things, how we come up with these things, because sometimes 1 and 1 just don't add up to 2 in these situations.
So let me ask here now, because I realize I've heard it at about 2 of the town hall meetings and I believe it came up in Parliament today. I didn't get a chance to listen to the entire Parliament sitting, but I did hear the mention of it again. You've mentioned prisons, and we're hearing of the potential for a new prison to be built. I assume that in this instance we're probably going along with the American model of a public-private partnership, because we know this government likes to speak that direction. Is it that we are now creating a system similar to some parts of the United States where you try to generate as much people going into prison because it is profitable for an entity or an organization from a business perspective, where prison becomes a business, so that you're legislating with the intention of creating that business for the prison, instead of trying to legislate to avoid people. Yes, they have to pay for whatever crimes it is that they commit, but you don't want to put it in a way that you have innocent people sitting there on remand, waiting for 2-3 years, waiting on 4 years, because you have so many people there waiting to get themselves out of prison because somebody give them a ride and it happened to have a gun in the vehicle.
Well, I would not even go so far. I don't even think that much thinking go into some of this. I just want to be honest. I just want to be frank. I don't even think that much thinking go into these decisions. I feel more like these are knee-jerk reaction. Okay, there's an increase in crime, let's do this. Or somebody say do that. Or somebody say do the other. I don't think that there's that level of thinking that go into. That's my honest, truthful view on this particular matter. That's what I think. But you look at what is and when we speak about restorative justice, we speak about programs, right? Have we assessed what is happening now? And all of the possible things that could be done, which ones are likely to bear most fruit? Which one are likely to give us the greatest returns, right? So we normally speak about returns on investment. So if you're going to invest in a second prison, if you're going to invest in stiffer penalties, what would the returns be? Versus if you're going to invest in more programs for men on the block. And I want to make this point. I would not be comfortable with the government just replacing programs, just doing what was done before, the situation now calls for significant increase in intervention. So I'm not talking about restarting the Empower program. Let's not even count that, because we never should have stopped that program. So I'm not going to count that. Let us not count re-registration of Imani trainees. I'm not going to count that. What is new? What is new in light of the current situation? More penalties, more punishment, more laws. What is new, right? Have we been in the ghettos? Have we been on the blocks? Have we brought these guys in and seriously put them sit down looking at, I engage these guys, Sheldon, and I really wish that the government would do same in a serious way. So for example, there are persons out there who feel that the solution to this, and that is why when you start a confrontation to say, okay, so you have a 4-feet gun, so I'm going to get a 10. That's not the approach. Because you know what some people are feeling? One guy said to me, I think the best solution to this whole problem is to give everybody a gun. In his mind, he conceptualized that the solution to the crime situation in Grenada is to give every man, woman, and child a gun. And you know how he's thinking, he's feeling? Everybody would feel safe and protected, and nobody would want to get at anybody because, well, guess what? And I said to him, I get your point, I understand your point, but I think this would be the wild, wild west, right?
No.
So the solution cannot be you have one, so I have one too. You have two, I have two. And it's who should first. I told you, I saw firsthand. And I never forget this experience. I never forget it. There were a couple actually, two people from Canada. We were supposed to spend 3 weeks in Nigeria. And when you talk about breakdown in crime and violence, right? I've not experienced anything worse than this, right? And these two people within the first week took a plane and returned. Within the first 2 weeks, because I guess this was a shock of their lifetime to see how civilians were responding to the police. And as I said before, I think that is primarily because of the aggressive message that was coming from the administration, that was coming from the leadership of the police then. So when you say fire for fire, you have guns, so we'll get bigger guns. You have guns, so we'll get more guns. What you're doing is agitating people. What you're doing is getting people to go and strategize to come back, to be more prepared. Because trust me, they would access it faster than headquarters would access it. That I know.
Well,
they would be able to bring it in faster than headquarters.
I can tell you that in various territories that I have been, even within the Caribbean and outside of the Caribbean, the criminals openly say to the police, they say, you all have to go and you all have to sign for your weapon and you have to account for every round of ammunition you are given. And when you finish on your shift, you go and you put it back in the police station. We don't have to account for nobody to nobody for our bullets. We don't have to go and return ours anyway. And they basically ban them from students. It gets to that stage when you take that confrontational approach. And it's strange though, considering that just roughly a year or so ago, the very same prime minister was saying that he doesn't believe that even police officers should have guns. The same one who talking now about giving them long guns, while doing a press conference on the issue of national security and the increase in gun crime at that time, said that he doesn't believe in guns. The only reason for guns are to kill people. And he doesn't even believe that police officers should have guns. Yet still, we see what is taking place now. And all of a sudden, it's a case where you have to have the guns and so now. So it's a serious situation.
Admired and people found it quite fascinating, right? When they visit Grenada to see police officers walking around without guns, right? People spoke about that almost like a tourist attraction, to see the men up on the hill calling the traffic and to see police officers walking around without guns. And I mean, obviously the reason was that there was no need for this, right? There was no need for this. We want to maintain that. And the question is, what do you do to maintain that? Is it to increase penalties? Is it to make justice less accessible? Is it to infringe on the constitutional rights of people? Obviously not, right? And so we have to ask ourselves some fundamental basic questions. What do we hope to achieve with the approach that we are taking? So I remember when first, I couldn't believe that this administration was going to do this, because when it was first mentioned, I made the point that the government doesn't have the right to speak about denial of bail at the magistrate level. Now, little did I know that there was already a decision of the government to make this legislative change. So whoever was speaking at the time was speaking based on a plan that was already developed, right? And so bringing this now confirms, because I remember the comments that were made at the time, right? The comments that were made at the time spoke of everybody who had a gun, an illegal gun, as a major criminal, a major threat to the society. And so if we view persons in that light, then what we might be doing is actually promoting and creating another problem. So there are different ways that you address. And as I said to you earlier, I will not support this piece of legislation. And I did emphasize the reasons why. One, I think that it is seriously threatening people's fundamental rights, right? It is seriously putting poor people in a situation where they will not be able to access justice as people who have a lot, right? People who don't need. And in addition to that, as I said before, I believe that there are serious conditions on which bail could be granted that we achieve the same objective. And I often like to say this, until it comes home, until it's your daughter, until it's your son, until it's your mother, your grandmother, sometimes it could be very difficult to identify.
Or until it's you.
I didn't even want to go there, but that's the reality. And that is how people should be thinking of this thing, not considering which party you prefer. Forget NNP, forget NDC. If your government that you love very much is passing a piece of legislation that you believe potentially could interfere with your constitutional right, then obviously, quietly encourage them to reconsider. And this brings me to what level of consultation took place as it relates to this piece of legislation that was amended. What level of consultation took place? Not just with the Bar Association, because there are concerns there. Not just the Bar Association, but with the general public. Did anybody in the general public have an opportunity to express their views on such a major change in the legislation, amendment to the legislation? Was there any town hall meeting that asked for the views of persons or the opinions of person on this matter? I heard a statement today, and I wished we would have considered leadership. Let me put it this way: you cannot in leadership rule out the contribution of people as irrelevant, not important, before you even have an opportunity to hear them out. So it's not just about making a decision that you believe is the best decision. You may just find that there's a better decision somewhere in terms of an idea, in terms of an opinion, in terms of a suggestion. And humility causes us to go down to the level of those who may even have better suggestions than we may have at another level.
Question here, and I know one or two of the listeners are asking that question. Is there the possibility of a constitutional challenge in relation to this particular law further down the road? I know that you may not have a legal background, but from what you've been researching, what you've been hearing, is there the possibility of a constitutional challenge in relation to this particular law further down the road?
Well, there's always a possibility, Sheldon, because anybody, any day can feel, and that is the whole purpose of our system, that anybody at any time can feel that their rights are being trampled upon, their rights are being removed, and so they ought to have an opportunity to express that and for that to be heard, right? And so anybody who feels that way will, of course, have the system available that can be brought forth. And so we cannot just assume, and we've seen it before, even in cases where it was not to do with gun and crime and violence, whatever, workplace issues, people feel that certain things went against their constitutional right or certain decisions, and they had a hearing in the court. In some cases, the court actually ruled in their favor. And that is the benefit we have as citizens of this country. That's the benefit that we have, and nobody should be allowed to remove that. Nobody, I don't care which administration it is, nobody should be allowed to remove that. And again, I'm saying, if this administration had tweaked this slightly, I could have found a reason to support it. In its current form, I repeat, I cannot support it in its current form. If, for example, the administration said, we want to make some changes as it relates to the conditions for bail, right? I would have been quite open to this, but not to totally deny everybody bail once they are in possession of a firearm. And if you probably say, for example, that you catch me in the act of trying to shoot somebody, for example, I'm just making an example of, you catch me in the act of trying to shoot somebody. I mean, even that, I am still innocent until proven guilty, because the law makes accommodation for what if I'm defending myself, right? And so I am saying we ought to look at the broad picture. We cannot just look at this as, oh, there's an increase in crime and let us just pass new laws. Let us just amend new laws. Let us think about people's rights in the process. And I'm not going to support anything that I believe is going to interfere with the basic right, the fundamental rights that our citizens have. I cannot support it.
Well, a question, and that one is a kind of worrying one that just came in from one of the listeners there, is what if they happen to be on a bus, the police take everybody off the bus, they're doing a search. You know, sometimes at carnival time, sometimes at carnival time, police do searches, and so they do roadblocks and so you're on a passenger bus, it's being searched, a firearm is found on that bus. What they're going to do, just arrest the person whose seat it was by? Are they going to arrest how do you proceed in situations like that? Does it mean that all passengers, conductor, driver, everybody going to sit in prison with no bail for whether it takes a year or 2 years? Is it that all of these people are going there? There's so many different dimensions to this particular act itself that is very worrying to a lot of the folks who are listening out there right now.
And you see with the example that you shared there, and that is what makes this situation concerning, because if you take a sample of police officers, for example, and you choose out just 5, and you put them on a scene with this particular scenario, you may find that most of them may do something different individual, right? So you may find Officer A, and I saw a vehicle moving with some goods the other day from the market, right? Officer A may decide to take the goods up from the vendor, put it on the van, drive the van away, take it to the police station. I don't know the circumstances. I'm not commenting at all on the circumstances. But I'm just showing you how Officer B may come along and say, okay, I'm not going to take it away. I'm going to do A, B, or C. Then Officer C may come. So you're now left there, right? In a situation where anybody coming, the subjectivity of this situation is one in which you don't know what is going to happen in that situation, right? And so when you go, for example, I remember being on a program and someone called and said, well, it's not as bad as you said it is, because the DPP has to decide if the person would be charged or not charged. I mean, come on, for real? So you think every single case, the DPP goes through every single one, analyzes it, search, for all the evidence, makes it. Let's just be real, please. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. Let's forget colors when we are looking into this situation. And again, I am saying, to make this a non-bailable offense is the concern that I have. And when we spoke on this today, you would have heard every member of the team that spoke about it, raising the issues and the concern. Is it an infringement on people's constitutional right, the right to liberty, due process? You would realize that there is obviously something that somebody should be concerned about, at least to listen. I mean, with an open mind, right? Not listening ready to put up a defense, but to listen with an open mind. Could we have tweaked it slightly differently and get the cooperation and support of everybody to move forward? Could we have taken it in phases and say, okay, phase one, let us start with amendment to the conditions for bail? Could we have decided, okay, we're not going to change this, let us change that. And let us start somewhere. Let us see the impact, the implication. It's unfortunate that we are where we are in this regard.
Yes, indeed.
Because this can be anybody affected.
Well, look, we have a situation, a developing situation in Carriacou right now, where about 10 high-powered firearms of different sizes, rifles and handguns, etc., I've been hearing, were found on the port in Carriacou yesterday in a barrel. An individual who may or may not have known, we don't know, may or may not have known that these things is in the barrel. Somebody say, well, okay, I'm sending a barrel to you. When it reaches, you're going to give what? But, I mean, we're family and so on. You do this sort of things. And so now that person is tied up in this, and they're investigating some other people who may have connections to it before laying charges and so. But just to understand that this can happen to anyone. This can be applied to any one of us. Yeah?
And the issue of barrels, I mean, I've had barrels come on my name, several times.
We're not allowing that again, eh? Right.
And hardly ever do I remember going to clear barrel. And that's the point you're making, right? Now, in a case like that, so let's go to what obtains currently. In a case like that, let's just assume the police feel that they have enough evidence to charge the person, right? Because it's when you're charged. So police feel, let's remember the words, they feel that they have enough evidence to bring that person to court. Let's remember, and that's the part I think some people are forgetting, whether it's intentionally or not, I don't know. This person remains innocent until they are proven guilty. That's the first thing. Now, in the current system, that person would come, and let us say they go before a magistrate. The magistrate would hear the prosecution, they would hear the defense, and use their discretion after listening everything of how to proceed with this matter. So the magistrate can decide, okay, you're going to be issued bail. No, you're not going to be issued bail, considering the circumstances. So let's say, for example, this is your second offense, your third offense, your fifth offense. It wouldn't be surprising if the magistrate say, okay, no. Based on that, we are not going to grant you bail, right? What is the reason for not granting me bail? You skipped the island last time you had a case. We're not granting you bail because the reason for not granting you bail is not to punish you, It is to ensure that you appear for the hearing, that you come to court. So there must be a reason why you are not granting me. So if you think I'm going to run away, if you think based on my offenses I pose a major threat to the society, of course. Now, in the case of this lady, let us say she has no previous offenses. Let us say that this lady is a law-abiding citizen. Let us say the police decides that they're going to charge her in this particular example that you gave there. What we are saying now is that there's no room for the magistrate to use discretion based on the evidence and circumstances presented to decide whether bail is granted or bail is denied. So that person needs to now go to the High Court when it is available. When it is available. The question is, where does she stay while she is waiting for the High Court to be available, while she is waiting to make up the money to pay a lawyer to represent her at the High Court? Because representation at the High Court don't cost the same as representation at the magistrate court. And that's who says it? That's the crux of the matter. That's the crux of the matter.
Indeed. Honorable Pear, I know we've been speaking quite a bit about this particular act and so on and what took place, but I just want to flip a slightly for just a short while onto one or two other issues because, we have just roughly about 20 minutes or so remaining. You mentioned earlier that you were on an election observer mission to Nigeria many years ago. I'm hearing that you're heading to our next one. Is that so? And if so, which election are you going to monitor? I'm hearing that you may be crossing the channel.
You hear a little too much, maybe.
My ears big, does he a lot?
Yes. So I'm actually, yes. So I'm actually going to be monitoring the UK elections that's coming up. So I'm going to be out, I think it's just about a week for that purpose. And that has been funded and facilitated through the UK Parliament. So yes, this is actually going to be my second mission. I think my first mission was in about 2000, between 2000 and 2003. I don't even remember, but it would have been, I think it was the year 2000. So this is the second mission that I am grateful for the opportunity to observe.
All right. A little insight. How does the election observer mission operate? What do they usually do? Some persons may hear, okay, yes, she's heading there, but what do they actually do?
So I can speak specific to my experience in the 2000 Nigeria election. So that mission was on behalf of the Commonwealth Secretary General. So that was his mission, the Commonwealth mission. And so our first assignment, and I actually went as a youth representative, mind you, I represented the Caribbean. So it was not on behalf of Grenada, or I wasn't even dreaming of politics at the time. So we had to first go to London to meet with the Secretary General, right? And from there, we went on the assignment to Nigeria. So we stayed in Lagos, I think it was for 1 week, because of course, the first part of this is the briefing to become familiar with what's happening there, to meet with the various stakeholders, the political parties, the electoral officials and all of that. So you have that briefing that takes place nationally, right? I'm speaking about the Nigeria situation. So you stayed at the capital, had those briefings, met with various stakeholders, all the people who complain about the process and all those who feel they're disenfranchised and all of those who feel, And so after you have that richness of a briefing, then you're assigned out to different locations. So like, let's say, for example, you're in Grenada, that briefing might happen, let's say in Radisson, in St. George's. But now I must go to St. Andrew Northeast, which might be my posting, and another person go to St. Andrew Southwest. This was the model then. When you go there now, you are basically observing everything related to the electoral process. So registration, even voting day, the complaints of stakeholders, political parties, issues, all of that. Because what you want is a richness of experience that you can now report on how free and fair you felt the elections were, right? And some of my most memorable experiences of an election was that one, because the system there compared to here, it was a lot of cultural shocks as it relates to that. I don't anticipate anything similar in this particular assignment, because it's, two totally different. And of course, that Nigeria would have transitioned, into a democracy in very, very late stages. So I anticipate it would be very different. I anticipate it would be very much more aligned to our system here and how things are likely to function within our jurisdiction compared to a place like, Africa, where, unfortunately, sometimes there are a lot of interferences when it comes to the processes and the democrat. I'll just share an example of something I literally saw. We were following a vehicle when the ballot boxes were going to be counted. And I literally saw someone ran out of the bushes with what I am assuming would be some ballot papers. And the rest, I would leave that there. So very, very interesting exercise. But more and more around the world, I mean, this is quite all the way back then. I doubt, we would have a lot of that now. But more and more, there's a push and a strong desire to have more free and fair elections around the world, and more countries want to be held accountable for that. But not just countries want to be held accountable for that. Organizations want to oversee and to ensure that, political parties are elected in the most democratic way possible. And in terms of, our own situation here, of course, there's always some lesson to learn. There's always something that you can bring back in terms of a best practice. So for me, I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully I would use the opportunity to share, any best practice with the electoral office. Of course, anything I think that is useful, I would officially share that with whoever wished to receive the information.
Also, Honorable Pair, I saw over the weekend that the New National Party, celebrating 40 years as Grenada's premier political organization and institution, not just a party, but an institution. I saw that the party was very busy over the weekend, will be busy tomorrow. Give us a little insight. I know that the youth, they met on Saturday, the women met on Sunday, and tomorrow the elderly will be going on their bus tour and so on. I know you have to go and finish organizing a while for yours. So give us a little rundown of how the weekend played out.
So as you rightly said, this is our 40th anniversary as an institution, as an organization. And of course, there are several activities, and I want to encourage people, get involved in those activities, find out what's next. So you're right, over the last weekend, it was a very busy one for us in the party. First, we had on Saturday, young people representing various constituencies as youth leaders. They came together. And part of that coming together was for training, right? And they were looking at a number of issues, particularly that of leadership, right? Because we believe, and we're not just training them to be leaders in the party, but leaders in their organizations. How do they make a greater contribution to the development of their communities? Because as you say, we're an institution, we're a party that is not just about us as an organization, but we want a better Grenada. And if we can train young people, if we can give them opportunities to impact their communities, when we will be fulfilling our mandates right away. So the training for young people, we brought them together. And then on Sunday, we did something quite similar, bringing together women from various communities, various constituencies, women leaders within our various communities, activists within our communities, brought them together to discuss the whole issue of the importance of their role in building stronger communities and building their organization. Because the stronger that the New National Party is a better Grenada we are likely to have coming out of that. And this is not a political statement. Everywhere you go, people are encouraged to have strong political organizations. If we're to defend our democracy, it's needed, right? If you get into office, it's needed. So this is not a political statement at all. We have to build our political organizations so that they would be always ready, oiled and ready to make the best possible contribution to national development. And so we believe that an integral part of this process is the women of our party. If you look historically at the people who have really carried this organization in terms of the foot soldier, the work on the ground, right? And mind you, I'm not saying at all that men do not play a very critical role. You know how I feel about men in that way and the contribution that they make, whether it's in families, communities, wherever. But we also have to be honest and we have to be forthright in saying that in our political organizations, not just the NNP in Grenada, you find that women play a leading role in terms of the organizational work of the political organizations. And so we feel very much that these women, we need to increase their capacities. We need to motivate them, we need to encourage them, and we need to get them more involved. And so that was our activity on Sunday gone. So women, youth, and then tomorrow, as you said, we will be taking some of our elderly citizens on an island tour, a bus trip. I should correct myself, a bus trip. It won't be an island tour. A bus trip as a social activity, as also, and this is not NNP senior citizen. This is any person in a constituency who want to have that outing of an opportunity whereby they can socialize, whereby they can see, the development that is taking place across Grenada. They can have that opportunity to interact and engage. And we know how important this is for their own mental health. We know how important this is for their own socializing, for their social development. And so we value this activity very much because we always show an interest in our senior citizens as a party, whether we're in opposition or in government. We do place emphasis on our senior citizens. So that's tomorrow. And of course, follow us. There are so many activities that are coming up following these three that we just spoke about.
And both in Grenada and in the diaspora, because there is that. In fact, they have the tea and hat party that's coming up on the 30th. That's over this weekend, and we know that come the 14th, the 13th, and the 14th, there are activities both in the U.S. and in Grenada. So there's going to be the town hall meeting on the 13th at the Legion Hall. There's going to be the town hall. That's on the 14th is the town hall, and the 13th. Which day is the elegant? Yeah, the elegant is on the. I'm mixing it up, man. I'll play the ad in a while. People will get it. But both the 14th and the 13th, there'll be activities in the U.S. And on the 14th, there'll be the bingo taking place here as well.
Right. And I just want to make the point, that we've always had a very strong in the diaspora, particularly in New York. And I just want to recognize all of those persons out there in the diaspora who have really, really contributed significantly to our political organization directly, but also nationally, right? Because our organizations in the diaspora, when they support, they don't just support the party. Many of them have made so much contribution to health, right? And the Ministry of Health, to healthcare in general, right? The health system has benefited significantly from their contributions over the years. The education sector would have benefited from their contributions. So when they raise funds, they don't just support the political organization, they make very significant contribution. And I really want to commend all of our people in the diaspora. And this statement of commendation is not even just to those who support our party, but every Grenadian in the diaspora who contribute in one way or the other to the development of Grenada. I just want to say how much we appreciate the sacrifices you make and the contribution that you make. But I want to say specifically to our NNP supporters in the diaspora, we value your contribution, we value your support, and we look forward to engaging with you in the next, 2 weeks, Sheldon?
Yes, next 2 weeks. So the Sunday following this So
the Saturday is the fundraising activity, and Sunday is the
so roughly 3 weeks,
the public meeting. Yes.
Yes, and also Honorable Pair, we're quickly running out of time. Only have roughly about 7 minutes remaining. But I want to give you the opportunity. The CPEA results are out today, as former Minister of Education comments in relation to that. I see a lot of folks. If you go on social media now, you're seeing a lot of pictures of some primary school students, some young ones. All of those little faces that come September shall be entering into the secondary school system. Your comments.
So I want to congratulate all of these students. Already I started getting messages of placements, and I have to remind some people I'm no longer attached to the Ministry of Education.
Imagine I get as well.
I can advise you, but I can't do anything. So I want to congratulate all of the students who are moving on to secondary school. I want to encourage them to do their best, give it their everything. Parents, this is an excellent opportunity for you to invest more in them. I understand the economic situation. I understand your plight, but I want to beg of you to make the sacrifice, do everything that is possible, legally possible, as it relates to these young ones. Don't let them miss that opportunity. Be there with them, support them. And I want to say to every single one of them how proud I am. But I want to use the opportunity too, because we also have another group of students who are also celebrating. And that's our secondary school students who are graduating from secondary school. There are a number of graduations taking place. As a matter of fact, this morning I had the esteemed privilege to do the feature address at the Wester Hall Secondary School graduation. And speaking to the graduates this morning, I really, really do believe that this crop of our young people who are graduating, they have a serious responsibility to be agents of change in our society. And I just want to congratulate all of them, and not just those that I addressed this morning, but all of our students, Form 5 students. My own son would be graduating on Friday. Time flies.
Congratulations.
This group of students, it just seemed like if it was lightning speed that they completed this 5 years, which reminds me that I was looking back at a picture today of about 5 students. I think it's all over Facebook, 5 students who graduated as medical doctors. And I could not believe that those 5 years went by so quickly, because I literally remembered attending the white coat ceremony. I literally remembered when they were awarded scholarships in most of the cases. I mean, time just go by so quickly. And so whether you're graduating from St. George's University or any university, graduating from secondary school, graduating from primary school, I am so proud of you. Congratulations. Continue to make your family, your community, your school proud. Continue to go out there and become agents of change for Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique.
I found that sounded like a closing statement, because I wanted to ask you if you want to make a closing statement, but I find like you just make your closing statement. I'll give you 2 minutes to wrap. 2 minutes to wrap, which would give me 1 minute to play the ads.
I'll just close by thanking you for this opportunity and asking me to be on this evening. I also want to encourage you to continue to do what you're doing. Whenever you're attacked, you're criticized, very often you got to know it's because you're doing something, that you need to keep doing, right? So your program, I know, has been criticized by a number of persons, but there are so many persons who depend on this program to know the facts and to know what is happening. And I just want to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, educating and informing and ensuring that our people out there are aware of what is happening around them. To those who are supporting you on this platform, I want to say to you, continue to do that, because we do need, I'll say this, and I know I have 1 minute. There was a time when people were encouraged to express themselves, voice your opinion. Yeah. People were encouraged to air their views and air it publicly. People were even encouraged to disrespect other people in authority. I would never support this. But I'm saying this to say, all of a sudden, we no longer hear the mantra that the people's voices must be heard and that people must express themselves, stand up for your right, all of a sudden, we've become so quiet on those. And I would wish, that the government in office now would encourage people, to be a lot more open. So many people are fearful about expressing themselves. So many people are afraid to come out and to air their honest views and opinion because they're afraid of being victimized. And this is not a political statement, this is a fact. And there's evidence to that effect of so many people who are just afraid to say things that are okay to be said publicly. And so I think the government is doing themselves a serious disservice with that approach, in that they are missing an opportunity to hear from people, to collect valuable information, valuable data, to get feedback that could make what they're doing better, right? And one of the ways to improve is to get honest feedback. And if you're going to stifle honest feedback, if you want to shut down every source of honest feedback, then obviously you don't understand the mission, but ultimately you're going to fail. If you're just listening to yourself and you're hearing that you're doing a great job,
The echo chamber.
you're in for a rude awakening eventually.
Indeed.
So
Honorable
I just want to
Emily
wish everybody a good night.
Honorable Emily Pierre, we'd like to thank you so very much. I've got to run because, folks, you know how it goes. So I've got to run. But I'd like to thank you so very much for being on with us. Congratulations to your young one on his graduation this week. On behalf of all of us here at the Talking Points family, the thousands that are listening via various mediums all over the world who are listening to Talking Points right now, our blessings to him and to you and your family. And we thank you so very much for being here with us.
Thank you. Have a good night. See you
Same
and
to
your
you. All right. Thank you. Yes, folks, we had on with us there the Honorable Emlyn Pierre, and we're discussing various issues. That you see that no bail kind of thing, that is a very, very, very dangerous thing. And we're going to have some more conversations in relation to it. But folks, just want to remind you all of some of the activities. Remember this one? And let me see if I have it here.
New National Party New York chapter invites you to their town hall meeting on Sunday, July 14th. Gather with the New National Party at the American Legion Hall, 1130 East 92nd, between Conklin and Glenwood. Come and hear from Carriacou's very own Nolan Cox, the lady Emmeline Pear, Peter David, Dwight Hosford, and the former Prime Minister of Grenada and political leader of the New National Party, Dr. Keith Mitchell. 5 p.m. is the time. Join us to discuss the nation's business. Add your voice to the conversation. Share your concerns and ask the questions. Voice your opinions. And hey, your presence will make the difference. Looking forward to seeing you there. Remember the date, time, and place. And that is on Sunday, the 14th of July, 5 p.m. Americans Legion Hall, 1130 East 92nd, between Conklin and Glenwood. Grenada's New National Party, moving on, and ain't nobody can stop them now.
Yes, indeed, folks. And also remember, tomorrow evening, those of you in St. George Northwest, yes, that meeting starts at 6 p.m. tomorrow at the Happy Hill Secondary School. The team of the New National Party will be out there, folks. Yeah, you all know. Yeah, that's how to run. So I'll play this one for you, and I am out. Love each and every one of you. In everything you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott. Do enjoy the rest of your night.
Grenada. Get ready as the New National Party invites all to its 40th anniversary fundraising bingo event. Sunday, July 14th from 5 p.m. at Victoria Park, Grenville. Over $100,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Imagine you can win a Suzuki Ignis hybrid car, $50,000 in cash, plus other fantastic prizes. Tickets are $60 for one or $100 for two. Free buses will be available island-wide. Don't miss it. Or you might just see your neighbor driving a Suzuki Ignis. Sunday, July 14th, we're heading to Victoria Park in Grenville for the New National Party 40th Anniversary Fundraising Bingo.
traditions. It is amazing how throughout the years the culture has evolved, and today we see most kayaks are involved. From the building of a tomb to the gathering from a room, you hear the sweet sound of the drums and the songs that go on. Anancio, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba. And brave this storm. Yes, they came from far as captives, Africans. The toil and the struggle hard to pass the culture on, and it fell within the grasp of noble hands. Sugar Adams and Hensky, Puffalo and Prince Lawrence, see them again, Free and Lucian. These names have to live on. Anancio, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba, Anancio, sorry Baba. The dancers as they perform, when they dance to the beat of Chromanti song. The frills, the glare, the glamour, and the move that they portray spark an undivided interest all the way. With new dancers like Jella, LV and Patricia, as soon as they enter in the ring, the whole crowd just start to sing and take a show.